What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cigar Store Idiots. I am Rob.
I'm Tyler.
I'm Andrew.
The three usual suspects. How's everybody doing today?
Very good.
Can't complain.
All right, good. Tyler, it's good to have you back, man. I know you was a little down and sick.
Down with the sickness, yeah.
But we're glad to have you back, man. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Good seeing you again, brother.
Good to see you too.
I hated that you missed the last episode we did. We actually finally got on the same page with a very busy Joe the Hitman Elmore. He was on talking about his journey in the fight game and talking about him not possibly, but very soon in the near future fighting for that 165-pound bare knuckle championship belt.
The guy that's going to fight, he better be ready. He's a beast.
Yeah, that's one I hated to miss. I woke up in a puddle of sweat.
I didn't talk a whole lot during that episode because that's more in Rob's wheelhouse, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we had a good time talking to him. And again, we told him that we were looking forward to getting him back in here and talking to him once he's got that belt around his waist. So
I'd love to go see him fight.
yeah, if it's close, we're going. And close meaning Florida, maybe the Midwest, wherever he's at, we're going. We'll be there, be a part of it. I'm trying to get us some T-shirts from him right now, so everybody hang tight.
Be good. I'd love to
Show
go
up
see
with
him
some
fight.
Hitman attire.
Yeah, I've seen some of his fights online. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, he's no doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, he's an animal. So
I mean, not even just watching other bare knuckle fights, not even him involved in there. I mean, it's insane. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It is insane.
go get the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship app. It's $5.99. It'll be the best, almost $6 you ever spent in your life.
Have y'all ever seen the slap boxing?
Yes.
Championship?
Yeah,
I have seen
Isn't
that.
it big in Russia or something like that?
Yeah.
Over in East. Yeah, those
Dude, we got to do some research on that and get like a slap box champion in here on the podcast.
Have you seen those people?
We can get in the bare knuckle game,
as long
and
as
we can dive into the Russian slap boxing.
as long as we're talking to him and not get slapped by him.
Yeah,
I'm in, so.
Jesus.
They straight up knock people unconscious with a
Yeah,
slap
they've even
to the
got like
cheek.
little video game apps and stuff for that
Yeah,
now. It's
actually,
gotten big.
Unfortunately, I'm ashamed to admit I have that on my phone.
Do you really?
I do.
Are you serious?
I do. I have it. I
Oh my
do.
God.
I'm gonna play it for you. So
Your sister loves to play it, so she's like, "Let's play the slapping game."
I want to play it for you, Lee.
Yeah. Real quick, I just kind of want to get in with everybody and let you know that upcoming podcast we're working on. We're working on getting together with Charlie Culberson, Atlanta Braves. Charlie Culberson. We're going to sit down and talk to him about baseball. Playing ball now these days with the Braves. We're also going to talk about the infamous Peggy's of Rome. We're really trying to gather as much information as we can about her because we want to do that podcast justice. There's a lot of information.
Peggy Hill.
No, not Peggy Hill. But there's a lot of people that's not willing to share that information.
No,
So
it's shut down. A lot of people don't even want us talking about it.
we've got three good people that's going to give a different perspective of her, from a family member to a possible frequent customer to the person that actually put her in jail. So we should come up with some good stuff. But again, we're not trying to rush it. We just want to make sure everything's good.
That's right. That's right. Talk to the right people. Get the real truth, not the myths.
Yeah. So we had a few folks talking, kind of looking at our social media about the Alcatraz Museum that we had went to, and I kind of blew through that last episode, but I kind of wanted to go into a little more. The things with that actual museum, it's pretty incredible, the stuff they had. They had we go back to we'd talked about John Wayne Gacy's actual Pogo the Clown outfit. They had both of his clown outfits. They had his art kit. They actually had some of his artwork that he had done on display.
And this museum's not always there. It travels, correct?
No, the museum is always there, but the displays change. So
that they do.
So the temporary thing that was there was the big Ted Bundy exhibit, which they had Ted Bundy's Volkswagen. It was his actual Volkswagen, which was really creepy. Typewriter that he used in prison to he was actually his own defense lawyer when he had got arrested the last time when he had murdered the girls down in Florida State. So
You think Charles Manson's music's on Spotify?
probably is. Yeah.
Was he a good guitar player?
Not to skip over Ted Bundy yet, but they do have some Charles Manson. I would say, I hate to say memorabilia, but they do have some there.
Artifacts.
They have his guitar. They actually have a baseball signed by him. they've got all kinds of drawings, artwork of his.
Got a big old fidget spinner in the middle of it.
It's pretty weird. So it's not a fidget spinner. It's actually a swastika. So on the baseball. But anyways, to try to stay on target, we, the Charles Manson stuff is it's pretty. I mean, all the stuff they have there is pretty crazy. They've got so much stuff on different serial killers, and so it's interesting. It's well worth the money to go in there and check it out. So you guys getting hyped up for Halloween?
No, I'm too old. I can't trick or treat anymore.
Yeah, it's not fun anymore to me.
Yeah, that's still fun, man.
I'm not a big Halloween guy though.
Nah,
I'm just not.
I love Halloween. I'm all about it. So,
Really?
yeah.
My wisdom
dressing
tooth
up
is
still?
coming in.
No, I don't dress up. I just like to scare the shit out of little kids. So it's kind of my favorite thing to do. So.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think about biting down into a piece of candy right now. Just this blistering toothache with my wisdom teeth coming in.
Yeah, that's not good. You should go get that thing checked out.
I mean, a lot of adults love Halloween because they like dressing up, going to parties and all that. I'm just
Yeah, we're gonna have a little get together for the kids because of course trick or treating is canceled this year. So we're gonna try to do what we can.
Andy, I see you dressing up for Halloween.
I have.
What's your costume of choice? Like, what's your go-to? Like you're gonna put that on.
Last time I don't have that because I don't do it. But the last time I did go to a Halloween party, it didn't really end well. But
did you drive
it was
home?
Caesar. It was Julius Caesar.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Or little.
So
Caesars.
I had a toga on, or I guess you
Cool.
would call it a toga. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
that's it.
You had the headgear and all that stuff. I had that, and it was
Sweet, man.
it's easy to wear. It's comfortable. You don't have to put on makeup or anything.
That's right.
So it's but
yeah, that's the
still.
worst. The worst is having to wear one of those hot ass masks.
a mask or makeup or
Yeah.
anything. I don't want to do any of that. None of that. I don't even want to dress up. And I'm not bah humbug, but it's just
Tyler, I actually had a picture I was going to send to you. One year we went to Fright Fest for Halloween, and I got a picture of Tyler dressed up as Ghost Rider, which is one of his little favorites. And
Didn't we color my hair that time?
We did, and your buddy was dressed up as a mummy. I believe he was wrapped in toilet paper. Pretty sure that's how that
it was
went down.
ace bandages.
Ace bandages,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. So, but he was a good go-to if you couldn't find any toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's good old Charlie. He was there. So
That's true.
that's funny.
well, what's a scary movie? I mean, the scary movie. That's one thing I look forward to in Halloween is kind of the horror movies are
I do
coming
like
out.
some horror movies.
I'm a big fan of those, and of course those are on about every night. There's a certain channel. It's like I think it's 31 nights of Halloween.
Yeah.
So there's always a different one.
I've been
And,
enjoying watching a little bit of the Michael Myers series.
Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween.
Yeah,
The good ones, the new ones.
yeah. So you like the Rob Zombie versions better?
I do.
do too.
And I saw one of them at the theater, and I've seen the other one, on TV. But it's just well done.
Yeah.
Everything he does is just creepily well
It
done.
really is. It really is. Tyler, what's your favorite scary movie?
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my god,
There it is
it's probably
again.
the worst. I don't know.
That's a classic.
a classic piece of crap.
No,
It is.
you're uncultured if you don't like that movie.
All right, well, put me in that category.
Anything about
I'm gonna
Rob
watch it.
Zombie, I kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, they're disturbing, but I don't know. I think that's what true horror is. It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah. Well, that's it's funny because that's what brings us here tonight. We're actually going to talk about
What you call a lead in.
it's a lead in, and we're going to actually talk about some of the actual horrible people and horrible events that inspired these movie producers to make a movie about it. So
Kind of true.
it's a lot of crap, man. It's just so much. I mean,
Inspiration.
evil is real, and
Yeah.
these people they've done some really terrible things, and it's kind of weird that in some way they're a little bit glorified, or their memory will last forever due to the movies that these people made, and kind of tie them into it. So the first one I want to talk about is one of the movies that it's not really it's not a Halloween movie, but it's no doubt a horror movie. And I remember watching this a long time ago. It was the movie called The Orphan. It's where the little girl had got adopted, and she moved in with the family, and she was really manipulative, and she started pitting the mom against the dad and the dad against the mom, and the dad kind of had a drinking problem, and then she started putting the moves on the dad, and everybody's like, oh my God, this little kid, what's going on? But actually, she was a grown woman, and she suffered from a weird hereditary disease which made her look very young. And the movie goes on anyways. They end up getting her out of the house, and she almost kills everybody. But what you may not have known is this actually this movie was based pretty loosely, not loosely, but pretty accurate on a lady named Barboa Skrylova. She was 33 years old.
Does that come with chips and a drink?
It could. Easy for me to say. But she actually she looked quite harmless, and she looked like a little girl. But at 33 years old, she was pretty evil. She actually had got adopted by a family. The family took her in, but she was very aggressive and very hostile.
They thought she was 13.
They thought she was a child, yeah.
But
So
she was actually...
She was 33 years old.
Wow.
So she actually, with her hostile and violent tempers, the family had her removed from the home. She kind of was out on her own. She didn't have anything, there was nothing going on in her life. So she actually started studying at the university where she was from. And then she had met two schizophrenic sisters, Kiera and Katerina Mirova. And Carla. Carla was actually the mother to two children, and her husband had left her because obviously it's tough to deal and live with a schizophrenic. So the husband had left, and he left her there with the kids and her other sister. So she moves in with these ladies. And again, she's very manipulative. This is the actual real person, the Barboa. She would manipulate how the mother felt towards her two children, to the point to where the schizophrenic mother started abusing her own children. Barboa was real intelligent and really manipulative, and she got to the point where she was manipulating the two sisters. Of course, both the sisters are schizophrenic. She was manipulating them on how to treat the children, the two little kids. So they started unfairly treating these kids. They actually had got to the point to where all three of them would lock, all three of the Barboa and the two sisters, they locked these children in iron cages down in a basement. I mean, they left them without food, left them without clothes. They didn't even have blankets to protect them from the weather. For months, these kids, they were beaten, burned with cigarettes. They gave them electric shocks. Maybe every once in a while they actually got to bathe in a bucket. I mean, it was pretty brutal how they were treating them. But the worst part is, in Barboa's mind, she had remembered the story of Hansel and Gretel. And you remember when the witch used to take the children and they kidnapped them and they fattened them up so the witch was going to cook them and eat them?
Yeah.
She actually, the time had passed, and they had fed these children so much, and the fuller they became, they started cutting pieces of their leg off, cut the meat all the way down, some parts even to the bone, and they were cooking that flesh and eating it. And the sad thing was, the two sisters, they acquired a taste for human meat, and so they were doing this frequently to these small children. There was no pain. There's nothing to relieve the pain, no medicine, anything like that. So these kids are just being hacked up and ate by their mom and their aunt. The one thing that happened was one of the neighbors had a monitor for his baby. It was a baby monitor. And he actually picked up transmission and saw some of the scenes that were going on inside. I don't know how, they must have had a transmitter watching these children, some like a baby monitor watching these children. But the neighbor had actually seen some of the shit that was going on over there, and he immediately had called the police. The authorities they got there, and the two sisters, the actual mom and her sister, the aunt, tried to block the police from going into the basement. They didn't want them to go down there.
Of course not.
And in this time, Barboa, she snuck away. She escaped. So the two sisters, they went down there and they found the children and saw, what the hell was going on and how these kids were being treated. They immediately rushed them to the emergency room. And unfortunately, one of them actually died. One of the kids actually died. This really happened. And you
were talking about monitors and all that stuff. So it wasn't that long ago.
Right. It couldn't have been that long ago. So what happens is the two sisters, they were convicted and sentenced to only 12 years in prison. They only got 12 years in prison. Years passed, and Barboa, she had escaped, and they actually they found her again. She was pretending to be a child genius, and her name was Adam. So she was going around as a male child, and a family actually had adopted her again. So she was already adopted again. And then they did find her, and she was arrested, and she was in jail for 5 years, prison for 5 years, but she only had to serve 4. She actually got out in 2011. That was when she got out of prison. So
she's out.
Yeah. So if you saw The Orphan, that's where that came from. That whole story came from. The lady, Barboa Skrylova,
So she's like
33-year-old woman
walking around now.
She very well could be. Yeah. Yeah. That's even scarier.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've watched The Orphan, that's where that came from, man. And I'm telling you, that's about as evil as you can get.
That's insane.
It's pretty crazy. So
that's terrible. Terribly insane.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to, everybody knows the movie Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you haven't seen it, then
you're living under a rock.
Yeah, I'm about to say everybody knows Freddy Krueger and so forth. But I was unaware of this till recently, and I read the story about where Wes Craven got the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street. And actually, it is from it's just the idea of it was some refugees fled to Los Angeles from let me make sure I say this right. Meow and Hmong.
Yeah,
because
it's Asian culture.
It was Asians, and because they were attacked by the Vietnamese, so they fled to L.A. And this happened in the 70s, of course. So
right after the Vietnam War.
Right after the Vietnam War, so they settled in L.A. But these people, they came from such poor areas and such terrible living conditions.
They actually lived in the mountains.
Yeah, very third world, basically. So they settle in L.A. and they begin having these issues with them falling asleep and having these terrible nightmares of entities and things chasing them, to the point where they were afraid to go to sleep. And it got to the point where the first case was in 1977 that was actually brought to the attention. A healthy young man actually dies in his sleep. And then it starts happening more and more and more. Over a 5-year period, 20 of these refugees died in their sleep, and they were perfectly young and healthy people.
Wow.
And supposedly it's from these nightmares. Okay? So in one case, this young child is afraid to go to sleep. He stays awake for 3 days. He tries to stay awake. And maybe I rushed into the story a little bit, but you get the premises of the refugees. He stays awake for 3 days, scared to go to sleep, okay, because this entity is chasing him. And they're all aware at this time about what's going on. They got perfectly healthy people dying in their sleep, and they can't figure out why. Nobody has an answer for it. Well, the parents finally get concerned enough, and they actually give this child sleeping pills because he's been awake for 3 days. Well, guess what happens? I think it's like midnight. This child is screaming and yelling and kicking, and they go running into his room. And by the time they get there, he's no longer alive.
Wow!
But he was perfectly healthy, young child. They can find nothing in the autopsies of why these people are dying, and they later name it. The syndrome becomes sudden unexpected death syndrome. I mean, how vague is that?
Yeah.
So
they're just reaching for whatever they could come up with.
Whatever they could find. And so this gives Wes Craven the idea of Nightmare on Elm Street.
That somebody's actually chasing these people.
Actually chasing them. Because they have sudden unexpected death syndrome.
Bad case of the suds.
Yeah. There's no answer to why all these people, because they're perfectly healthy people. And in the first case in 1977, they talk about this guy. He was a healthy young man, dies in his sleep, and nobody can figure out why. But it was happening only within these refugees from these countries.
Yeah. You think about, you've watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and you think about one of the most iconic scenes is when the girl's laying in the bathtub, and then his claws, like he comes up, out of the claws between her legs. I always thought it would be funny if it was a fat chick in there, and his hand comes up, and he starts slapping the water like he's trapped under it. So that's how I used to keep myself from being scared.
So scared. That was a scary ass movie.
It was.
That was the first one. I think it got kind of silly.
Yeah.
But the first one was
scary as hell.
It scared the hell out of
We
me.
had one of my cousins. This is a good story. He was terrified of Freddy. So me and his brother and his sister would, if he ever went in the bathroom, you couldn't close the door on him. You couldn't because he was scared of Freddy in the bathroom. And so if he was in there taking a shower, they would cut the lights off and go, Freddy's in the bathroom. And he would come running out butt naked, like screaming with soap in his eyes, like terrified. I mean, just running through the house.
Because that movie had an impact on us.
He was so scared that if he had to take a doo-doo in the middle of the night and everybody was in the bed, he would go outside and shit in the front yard.
No way.
Yeah, he would. He would not go. He wouldn't go in the bathroom by himself.
But it's okay to go outside.
But I was like,
night.
what makes more sense? I mean, it's scarier to be outside. But
Right.
no, he would go outside like the house dog and just shit in the front yard before he would go to the bathroom and let Freddy get him.
But you know, I think everybody our age, especially, they were scared to death of.
Man, it terrified me.
It was scary because that's something that everyone does is sleep.
Yeah.
You know, we don't all go into some crazy haunted house and get chased, or we're not all at some camp lake where Jason chases you, but everybody falls asleep and everybody's had a nightmare.
I'll tell you what's funny too is, you know, all the like if you talk about Jason, you talk about Michael Myers, they just move real slow. And I always had issues with my hips when I was a kid. So I was always like, I think I probably could get away from them. I thought I was fast enough to get away. Right. I was like, I'm not scared. So, yeah.
It's like the saying goes, you don't have to be fast. You just have to be faster.
Be the faster than the slowest guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what made it so scary was the fact that it's
these things were happening.
It's just too real.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you know, everybody sleeps and everybody's had nightmares, and you know what happens if. I mean, if you look at the story, I mean, this whole tribe of people.
And Tyler suffered from some sleep paralysis before. He's had some episodes of that.
Yeah.
So what is that like?
It's like when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, your body puts off a chemical that paralyzes your muscles. So when you're dreaming, you don't get up and do stuff in the middle of your sleep. Sometimes you are aware that you're dreaming and you open your eyes to wake up and you're still paralyzed. You can't move because that chemical's still in your brain.
Right.
And the chemical's still present. But you're still in a dream state. So when you open your eyes, you have, you know, visions, but you're locked in your bed, and a lot of anxiety comes along with that. So oftentimes you're seeing really creepy things in your room. So, and you're just bound to your bed and you can't move and get away from them, no matter how hard you try. Have you ever had
good?
You ever had a nerve block or something during surgery, something like that?
Yeah, I did during shoulder surgery. Actually,
you ever try to move that as hard as you can, and it's almost like a jolt feeling. It's like you can feel your nerves firing off, trying to lift it, but it won't.
Right.
Well, your whole body's doing that in your bed, and you can't move. And sometimes somebody can be sitting on your chest, somebody's in the corner looking at you, and you can't move. You can't do anything about it until you wake up.
Do you feel like you're gonna die? Do you feel like you may be about to die?
I don't know. I've never been that close to dying. So
sleep is so weird. It's like the other night, I was asleep, and it was probably 2:00 in the morning or so. I don't remember what time it was, and my wife had to wake me up because I was screaming.
No way. Yeah, that would freak me out too.
Well, I really wasn't screaming. I was yelling. There's a difference. Screaming, I think, is being scared. Yelling is something different. But I knew exactly what I was doing when she woke me up. She says, "You okay?" "Okay," and woke me up. I was clearing the house with a gun.
You was?
Yeah.
you were sleepwalking?
No, I was laying in bed, but in my dream,
You was in the house with a gun.
I was. Well, no, I was. Yeah, no. I didn't. Not in real life. I had a gun.
Yeah, but you're dreaming.
But I'm dreaming it because we pulled up to this house, and actually it was a house I grew up in as a kid, which is so weird. I haven't seen this house in forever. But actually, the house now is 2 stories in my dream. But we pull up, and I hear somebody running in the back door, and there's not supposed to be anybody there. So I get out, and I jump out, and I have this gun in my back, and I pull this gun out, and I'm clearing the house. Even though I say I'm clearing the house, I know they're in there.
Yeah.
But I can hear them walking around upstairs, and I'm yelling at them.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But that's just how weird I don't know, dreaming and sleep is to me. It's just weird. But that doesn't, I don't know if that's ever happened before the other night.
I do some crazy things in my dreams too. I mean, it's, you get in a dream state, you do some crazy, of course I talk to myself. Like
Are you?
I have a full on conversation with somebody.
Really?
Yeah. I'll actually, and Brittany and I was asleep one night and I had a hold of her and I just started pinching her really hard. But I was dreaming that I was opening the door. I thought I had a doorknob and I was just pinching the shit out of her. She's like, "What are you doing?"
That's weird.
I was like, "I'm sorry.
It's so weird.
I was opening the door."
I know, right? I mean, it's strange. It's such a
Who's in
weird.
there?
Yeah.
You ever been sick or had a fever and had a bad dream?
I don't think so.
I'm probably ass.
They call those fever dreams, but I knew that I was getting sick because I had a episode of sleep paralysis that night, and it was because I was sick and fighting off a fever.
Yeah.
But I'm coming back now. I'm doing better.
Good.
Well, so on to the next topic. We got Slender Man, an internet phenomenon.
And I'm gonna tell you, this kid was in love with Slender Man when Slender Man came out.
Yeah, and I didn't kill people.
He,
So
he had the Slender Man costume when he was a little kid, the morph suit, and we used to take pictures of him sitting on the toilet. It was one of the best Halloween costumes
it was
ever.
great. And I had a morph suit logo on my butt, and I mooned somebody at the trick or treat house one time, and I got in a lot of trouble for that.
I didn't hear this story, but
So
we'll get it later.
So I'm older. I don't
All right.
guess I've heard this. I don't know anything. I don't know if I know
So
anything.
give us
about
the
this.
basis of Slender Man.
Yeah, so Slender Man was like, it's an internet phenomenon. They made video games about it, and people blew it up, and it was just this big, scary monster. He's a tall, thin man, wears a black suit, and he has a disfigured white face. So he's just really tall and lanky, abnormally tall and lanky, and he has no facial expressions whatsoever. It's just a blank canvas. He stalks his prey in the woods. His prey is oftentimes little children, and his victims begin to suffer depression, mental illness disorders, paranoia, and nightmares.
And this is a great thing for your kids to.
I was obsessed with it when I was a little kid.
I didn't know anything about it.
I used to watch
Okay.
YouTube videos, but anyways, the Slender Man lives in the woods, and his main victims are children. He's invisible to the human eye, so the only way that you see him is he's in the background of photos. All the pictures of him, the fake pictures of him, there'll be like a family gathering in the woods or something, and he's in the background stalking his prey or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's only seen in the backgrounds of photos. And in Wisconsin, there's two little girls stabbed one of their friends 19 times to please the Slender Man in this so-called ritual, or he was stalking them and influencing them and talking them up to kill their friend.
To murder this little girl.
Yeah, and these are like little
And this
middle
really
school
happened.
girls.
Yeah, this really happened.
Yeah.
These kids was fixated on the Slenderman, and of course there's got to be some mental issues there with both of those kids.
So I'm still a little bit lost. So what did the Slender Man? What did he originate from? What?
I don't know.
It wasn't a movie, right?
No, they made a
movies of
movie at it. Actually,
Yeah.
they just made a movie about it. Actually, which I thought that actually almost got canned because of the murder.
Right, yeah.
They almost didn't make the movie because the two little girls killed their little best
So
friend.
he was just some.
Just a fictional character.
He's just a fictional character. Yeah, he was made up over the internet.
On like some YouTube
Right.
page or
Yeah,
something.
it's like when the internet first came out, and like,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
for my ignorance. I
No,
just don't know.
Sorry for my ignorance.
No, you're good. I just don't know.
Yeah, and so
Everybody else probably like, yes, we know the story. Let's move on.
But yeah, those girls, they conspired to have their little friend over and sleepover, and then they murdered her. They stabbed her 19 times, killed her.
Jesus.
And then, of course, when they get into the whole court thing about it, the one little girl's family blames the other little girl because she was the more influential. There's one of them that kind of forced everything, kind of pushed everything in that direction to where they actually committed the crime, committed the murder. But they both are there to me, and they both are guilty. I don't care how old you are. You don't. There's something to be said for rage murders. That's a rage murder. You just don't stab somebody 19 times.
No.
I mean, stabbing somebody to death is probably one of the worst ways to kill somebody.
Well, that's the
brutal.
most personal.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I mean, it doesn't take much to pull a trigger.
Right.
But to stab somebody, that's personal.
Yeah, it's so, yeah, pretty terrible.
That's a special West. That's a special kind of psycho.
So but in the game, you walk around with your camcorder, and you're supposed to go collect 8 pages throughout the woods.
These are notes that Slenderman leaves, or
he like lures his prey into the woods or something, and upon each page, the difficulty increases. Like he becomes more sporadic around the map, and he teleports and stuff like that. But it's all a game, and people blew it up, and these little girls took it serious enough to kill their best friend. So
all you parents out there is buying the Slenderman costume for Halloween like I did, man. Make you feel like a real asshole now. So,
attaboy, Dad.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right.
I was unaware.
One of the scariest movies that I've ever seen, still scares me to this day, and this is one guy that I couldn't get away from because he ran very fast, was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually the person this came from was the butcher of Plainville. His name was Edward Theodore Jean, and he was a farmer. He was repressed, but he lived with his mother, and he was repressed by his mother. You know, he lived with his mother for 41 years.
I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
But what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was not based on Gin.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Gin. Yeah. I said Gene. It's Gin.
Okay.
Gin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
or did I say it wrong?
No, I probably said it wrong.
Okay.
So
because I was thinking, man, I thought it was something else the whole time.
It's Gin. It's Gin.
My bad, dude.
I just can't read today.
Be wise when you interrupt, Andy. We don't take too kindly of that around here.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, okay, my bad.
So he lived with his religious mother. She was a fanatic, and she pretty much controlled everything that he did. Had him under her thumb the whole time. Well, it wasn't until she passed away then he fully started living his life and being the cruel, crazy, brutal murderer that he was. It is thought that he killed like several people. That he killed a lot of people, but they only have true proof that he had killed. Mary Hogan was a woman that he was in love with, and then he terribly, he murdered another Bernice Warden. Her body was actually found hung by her ankles and decapitated with her torso cut open. So there's with all these other things that he did, he was known to be a grave robber. He would go into the corpses and he would of recently dead women, and he would steal their bodies just to remove their skin, and he created furniture and clothing from them. So he was actually making some pretty nice furniture and clothing. Police had actually found human heads, lamps, and seats. The covers of the lamp cover and the seat covers were made from human skin. He actually made a vest from a woman's private parts, leather pants from human skin.
They said he was very feminine.
Yeah.
And he kind of wanted to be a woman.
Yeah. Torso with the breasts and mask of a human rose. That was on his vest. So he had skulls, plates made of skulls, ashtrays made of skulls, human skulls. He was the basis for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but also the movie Psycho. Norman Bates' character pretty much derived from this same guy. Yeah. And also Buffalo Bill and Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
so if you think about all those things and things that this guy did, it kind of they correlate together.
All of his psycho ass.
Yeah, yeah. I was happy to know that they didn't make chili out of people and serve it up to them. So
that was good. That was a different movie altogether.
But I will tell you, there's another, and I can't get into it. I shouldn't get into it because I don't know all the facts of it. But there was a place in Texas where these people would catch drifters, they would catch prostitutes and runaways, and they would brutally. They had a trailer set up, and they would sexually assault them and brutalize them and video it. They'd video all the stuff that had happened until they. It was a 2 men and a woman. I wish I knew the names. I'll try to get more information on that. But they would brutalize these women until they would kill them. And once they killed them, they threw them in this big lake. It was in Texas. So they'd throw the bodies in the lake. They'd wrap them in a burlap sack, weight them down with rocks, and throw them in the lake. And so it went on for years. They killed multiple women, multiple drifters. And then actually in Texas, they have a gigantic, huge catfish fry. And the catfish fry was a big thing. They did it every year. That was a big event that they did.
Like the chili cook-off.
Yeah. Well, guess where the catfish came from?
Oh no.
The catfish came from that lake. Yeah. And so they were catching these catfish out of that lake that was feeding off of people. And they were feeding them to the people that were coming to this festival. So I'll get some more information on that, but that's a really interesting story too. So, but yeah, another, so
not Ted Ginn.
So it's kind of funny that they did the chili competitions on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it was out of Texas, but there actually was an event that was going on, a big catfish fry in Texas, and they were eating fish that were feeding off of dead corpses.
Good eating.
Try to enjoy your next catfish dinner thinking about that. Terrible.
It was awful.
The Hills Have Eyes. I guess a lot of people have seen that movie, and
I'll be honest, I haven't watched many scary movies. I'm pretty spooked.
The Hills Have Eyes is pretty disturbing.
That scared the piss out of me.
It's kind of, I'll just give you the base of the movie. It's really about a bunch of inbred hillbillies that, well, there was two made. One was made more recently, and I think it was more in like a
desert setting, kind of.
Desert setting, yeah. So, but either way, and I think that had to do with the characters were more radioactive. They were, it was a little stranger, but either way. But it was actually based on a family called the Bean family, and they were from Ayrshire, Scotland. Okay, and it was Mr. and Mrs. Bean. They set up home in I don't know if I say this right, but the Benign Cave. The cave went back over a mile, so it was a really, really deep cave, but this is where they made their home. Well, Mr. Bean didn't have much of a skill. So to provide for his family, this cave wasn't far from this narrow road that connected these villages. So what Mr. Bean would do is he would come down and rob these people that were traveling on this road. Well, he would also kill them so they couldn't go to the authority about it, the police or whatever about it. So he would rob them, whatever. So it got to a point where he realized maybe they could live off, him and Miss Bean could live off a high protein diet and start eating these people that he's actually killing on this little narrow road. So this went on for a long, long time. So long that they ended up having like 14 children. Okay, 14 kids. But this family grew, and this family grew. Yeah, they had 14 children. Generations pass in this cave. Well, incest happens. And this family grows and grows and grows and becomes huge, right? So they're just killing people left and right, and they also master the technique of salting and pickling flesh because they start having an appetite for humans, right? So they're robbing from these people, but also stealing their bodies and taking them back up in this cave. And this happens for generations, and people don't know where these people are missing to, but they start finding body parts start washing up on the shore there. Yeah. Because the waterway is really close to this road that attaches these villages. So they know something really fishy is up, but they have no idea what. So one day, the couple is coming down this narrow road, and they're attacked by the Bean family, and there's quite a few of them. Well, the woman is killed instantly, and they're just tearing her apart. Well, the guy fights these people off, and in the middle of fighting these people off, other people start coming down the road from this fair. So they fight the Bean family off, and this is the first time the Bean family has ever been
seen
fought off. Well, the first time they've ever been fought off for sure.
I gotcha.
Because they've ever been outnumbered, but at this point they're outnumbered, so they haul ass back up to the cave, but they don't know where they go. Okay, but they have evidence now, and they take this evidence to King James. Okay, I think that was right. Yeah, King James. Hope that's right. Either way, they take it to King, and the king brings an army of 400 people and track dogs to find out where this family's living or where these people are living. They have no idea if they're family or whatever, but the manhunt is launched. They take these by torchlight. By the time they get to this cave, they find the cave and they start going in it. Well, they go almost a mile deep, but once they get into the cave, they see flesh and things hung in rows while they're going down into this cave, and they finally come upon the Bean family. There's a brief fight, and they overtake them because they have 400 soldiers and dogs and everything else, but they ended up killing them. Or not killing them, but taking them in. Well, the crimes were so heinous that he said, we're going to kill them all. We're going to kill every member of the Bean family. There's none of these people who are going to live to tell about it.
Yeah.
The men's hands and feet are cut off and just left to bleed to death while the women watch. And then all the women were all burned at the stake. And
so crimes kind of fit the punishment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the way it was done then.
Let me just go ahead and say, if you ever wake up one day and you feel like you have the hankering for the taste of human flesh, you can see your local psychiatrist.
Unbelievable.
Or kill yourself.
Well, the guy, at first he's just robbing these people and killing them. And then he realizes, well, this isn't giving us any food, so let's try cooking them, I guess.
Yeah.
And just psychos. And they, ended up having, there ended up being 48 members of this family.
48 inbred members of a cannibalistic family.
Yes, 48 members were taken in. 48 they drug out of those caves.
God, that is so insane.
So then that, you had the idea for the Hills Have Eyes.
Hills Have Eyes. I'm not going to watch that the same again.
48
or watch
people.
it ever again.
Yeah,
for that matters.
Yeah, maybe you could imagine, going into this cave and by torchlight and start seeing limbs hanging from the cave.
Are these people from West Virginia?
It's Scotland, actually.
Oh, God. Sorry, West Virginia people. I was just kidding. I know we have listeners there.
I know. Way to go, Rob.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, insane.
It's like, who conveniently left these beef jerky samples hanging in the cave?
That's right.
I'm starving.
Man. Well, Pogo, the killer clown, John Wayne Gacy. He has a troubled childhood, an alcoholic father who sexually abused and raped him. He outgrew his dark past. He grew up with he grew up, got him a good job. He's married, really just making the best of a bad situation. Behind the smile, he dressed as Pogo the Clown, is well known. That was his gig. He was well known in where he was from.
He did birthday parties and stuff, right?
Yeah. He was real close with the kids, birthday parties and family gatherings. But behind the smile was evil and perversion, and that his clown get-up he had was just an attempt to get closer to the children, and so he would be closer to his prey. His victims ranged from the age 14 to 21, and from 1972 to 1978, Wayne Gacy raped and killed 33 young men.
Which he kept most of them in his crawl space of his house.
Yeah. His victims mostly died, or his victims were strangled to death. So that was his way of going about killing them.
Yeah.
29 of the victims were buried in their own homes, and 4 others were thrown into a river.
Yeah. Also, a fun fact about John Wayne Gacy, he actually would not have sex with the young boys until they were dead.
Really?
So he was big into necrophilia, so he would actually have sex with their dead bodies.
That's sick.
Yeah.
1994, Pogo was sentenced to death by lethal injection. His last words were, "Killing me won't bring back any of the victims. The state is killing me." He pretty much told them to kiss it, and you will never find any of the other bodies.
Yeah, so they only confirmed that he killed, how many was it? What was it, 30?
33.
33?
Yeah.
But he claimed to kill way more.
Yeah. Oil paintings of clowns are recognized worldwide by Gacy. He's left a big impact on our culture, as many of these anti-Americans have.
Yeah.
These war criminals. And American Horror Stories Freak Show used Gacy and his little persona and their character Twisty the Clown.
Yeah, you can see the whole direction they were going with that.
Yep. And also, last but not least, the famous film It with Pennywise the Clown.
Yeah. So there you go. You got John Wayne Gacy's clown persona was morphed into Pennywise the Clown, and also Twisty on American Horror Story. So when I remember if Twisty on American Horror Story is probably one of the scariest clowns there is.
Terrifying.
But that's immediately who I thought of. You know, when he comes running out with that big grin, and it's pretty creepy.
A lot of people are scared of clowns anyway.
Yeah, I don't like them. You don't know who's behind that mask.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
There's another movie, The Veil, which was all kind of derived from the mass suicide at Jonestown and Jim Jones. So they got the idea for the movie The Veil through Jonestown. And Jim Jones was a preacher. He'd founded this church called the People's Temple. Back in 1977, he had almost 900 followers. He always seemed to lean towards the weak, the impoverished, and also the black community. He was big in the black community. He had got these people to basically decide to follow him as they would follow Christ. He was taking them to the promised land. They were going to leave the United States. The United States was dirty and corrupt, and he was going to take them somewhere. And they actually built this community in Ghana in South America. So they had their own community. They had their own food. The twisted, sick part of it was you gave up your identity. You gave up your money, anything that any of your worldly possessions, like you would give up your worldly possessions, like they talk about in church. Well, you gave them up to Jim Jones. You didn't only give up your worldly possessions. You also, if you were a female, you gave yourself to Jim Jones. So
how convenient, right?
Yeah, he had all the women actually everybody there called him. They called him Daddy, which sounds really awful. It was rumored that he was sexually abusive to the women. He would electrocute the young men's genitals if they was bad parishioners. Just all kinds of crazy things. He had ceremonies called White Nights where he asked the followers to fake killing themselves. Just kind of what he was doing is grooming these people, getting them ready for the mass suicide. So once family members back in the United States were trying to get their family members that had left in Jonestown community, they had got the United States government to step in to remove their families from him because they were there. They were trapped. They had no way home. They're in another country. They're being abused. They're basically, Jim Jones is a madman. So when one of the directors of the CIA, the United States comes in, they actually interview these people, and this is all on video. They get all these people, and Jim Jones knows his time's coming, that they're about to crash down on him hard. He lets them come in with a filming crew, and he lets them interview people, and they're asking, "Are you safe here? Do you want to stay here?" And the majority of the people tell him, "Yeah, they feel fine, they're safe." That Jim Jones, but they're running out of food, they're running out of everything there. So once they have a handful of people says, "I want to go back home," there's a handful of them, and so you can see in the video everybody starts getting tight and tense, and they actually get all these people on the truck and they start driving to the airport. Well, Jim Jones is flipping out. He's like, tells some of his parishioners, the males, that I guess their actual security, they go up and they just start shooting people at the airport, like on the airstrip. They kill the CIA guy. They kill there's a governor, I believe, that's killed, and the people that's trying to leave is killed. So once all this is going on, he has this big, huge meeting with all the parishioners. There's like 900 people, almost 900 people there. And he tells them that it's time to go. It's time to go home to be with the Lord. And that's when he breaks out the cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And he tells the parents to give it to the kids first, to go ahead, because if the parents are dead, the children are not going to take it.
Right.
Anybody that refuses, and you can hear on the video, like there's audio of it. If you listen to it, it is the most sickening, sad thing. You can hear these people screaming and crying and moaning in pain. They're poisoned. These children are crying. Anybody that won't drink the Kool-Aid, he has people come up and inject straight cyanide right into their neck with syringes.
Because it's a pretty painful way to die.
Oh yeah, it's a terrible way to die. It's a terrible way to die. So, but almost 900 people lost their lives.
But it's
there.
the easiest way for him to all
quickest
killed.
way to kill them all. Yeah, exactly. So, and then they were there for a while before somebody actually came in. I mean, they talk about the people that came in to identify bodies, that the stench was so, I mean, it's just, and you're there and you're South America, you're in humid climates. You can only imagine.
Hell, and how many people?
Almost 900 people.
I mean, you can imagine.
You can imagine
the
smell of that. Yeah. Some people actually escaped in the woods though. They ran away and they were shot at as they would run. And then that's why there's a few people left to still tell the story about it. But the movie The Veil, it came from, Jonestown, Jim Jones, the original Kool-Aid man.
Drinking the Kool-Aid.
That's why you get drinking the Kool-Aid.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah. There ain't no oh yeah in that. So.
I mean, it's amazing how people just follow other people for, with any idea.
I mean, I see it every day.
You have to think about.
You think about some of these churches that people go to. I mean, they got somebody that can talk the talk and talk them into doing, signing their bank account over to them. Jim Baker. Just glad Jim Baker was a pussy, instead of an evil tyrant. Imagine what he would have got people.
That's
to
right.
do. So
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, just be smart, people.
Yeah,
be smart. Well, I want to talk about something a little different.
All right.
This is actually going to be about the Smurfs.
Yes.
How tall is a Smurf? Does anybody know?
3 inches.
Nope. You're close.
3.5 inches.
3 apples tall.
3 apples tall.
You know how I remember that? Because I had a coloring book when I was a kid. The Smurfs. And there was a Smurf next to how tall is a Smurf, and it was 3 apples tall.
It must suck to be old.
It is. No, it's actually pretty cool.
It's good.
Except, the aches and pains. But yeah. So anyway, about the Smurfs. So it's kind of maybe not what we thought. We've all heard the Smurfs. We all saw how friendly the Smurfs were. We all remembered that the Smurfs were always trying to escape from Gargamel and his cat Azrael. Right? Yep. So Gargamel was always trying to come up a way in every episode to capture these Smurfs.
Yep. He's going to turn them into gold.
Yes. So, that was the premise of the Smurfs if you're too old to remember or too young to remember it. But the true story about Gargamel dates back to the 12th and 13th century. He was actually a famous priest of the Dominican order. At age 4, he grew up extremely. Well, he was born into an extremely poor family. So poor that his mother left him on the steps of a convent at age 4. Of course, the religious man took him in and raised him, and he later became a priest. And he swore to always protect the convent from any bad entity or evildoer from the convent. Well, as time goes on, these priests that raised Gargamel actually dies off, and he becomes very lonely. And I would imagine, somewhat depressed. Even though he's still a religious man, he's by himself, and he's the only one in this huge convent. It's probably pretty scary, and everything by yourself. But he becomes friend with this cat that he names. Was it Azrael?
Yeah, Azrael.
Yeah, Azrael.
I watched SpongeBob as a kid, so
yeah, Azrael. So yeah, I forget, but anyway. So Azrael translated is from Israel, and is translated as God's chosen people. Okay, so he helped Gargamel in the Smurfs to try to capture these Smurfs, and part of the cartoon itself. Well, some believe that the Smurfs were actually represent the 7 deadly sins, and Gargamel was actually the good guy, the priest. If you remember, Gargamel always wore like a monk outfit.
Yeah.
He always had a priest outfit to him, if you think about it. So supposedly the Smurfs, like Grouchy Smurf was wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Greedy Smurf was gluttony. Vanity.
Yeah, they had a Vanity Smurf.
Yeah, Vanity Smurf was pride.
Pride, yeah.
Hefty Smurf was envy. Brainy Smurf was greed. Lazy Smurf was sloth.
Yeah.
And Smurfette was lust.
Dude, I never even would a million years thought about
Okay,
that.
so it doesn't stop there. So what Smurf did I leave out? Papa Smurf.
Papa Smurf.
Okay, Papa Smurf was the only character that did not wear blue and white.
What? Yeah, he wore red.
He wore red.
He's the devil.
Represents the devil.
Really?
So,
Damn it.
actually, we rooted for the wrong person.
We did.
Maybe we should have rooted for Gargamel because he was the priest. You know, and the whole time you think about it, we did wear a monk outfit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I never understood that. I thought he was a warlock.
Well, they wanted him to be, like a warlock or some kind of sorcerer.
A wizard. Yeah.
Some kind of sorcerer, you know. But actually, he was a priest, and Gargamel was kind of based on that character because there was a true Gargamel, and that was really his name.
Mm-hmm.
And he had this cat
named Azrael,
who I struggled with for some reason. But, yeah, so then they have the 7 deadly sins that are listed in these Smurfs.
How crazy is that?
It is insane.
That's pretty
I was
wild.
reading it, and my jaw was dropping. I thought, oh, my God, Papa Smurf also wore red.
Yeah.
And he would represent the devil.
He was the devil.
He was over all the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
Who were those little nasty Smurfs.
Mm-hmm. And I guess all the other ones were like minions or demons.
Yeah.
They didn't have a name.
Exactly.
Damn, that's so wild.
Yeah.
I did not know
A
that.
little disappointing.
I'm a little disappointed, but it's still cool nonetheless.
Right. Yeah.
That's way cool.
Smurfs.
Yeah.
Well,
You got to stick with the childhood, child thing there, Tyler.
Yeah, you're going to destroy more Smurfs for us?
maybe, possibly. Well, the scariest movie I ever saw when I was a little kid was Chucky. I didn't sit down and watch the entire movie, but I know that just seeing Chucky the doll was enough for me to know I didn't want any part of watching that movie.
I never saw it.
So the true story of Chucky,
the sticky icky.
Stucky.
is about a doll named Robert. So Robert, the possessed doll, in the early 20th century, in Florida, Robert Eugene Otto was given a handmade doll that was handcrafted by a slave. The slave practiced witchcraft, and the doll had a life of its own.
Okay.
Paranormal activity, and, well, because of the doll being in possession of Eugene, Eugene took the doll home with him, of course, and he was still a child at this time. Paranormal activity began to happen in the house, and objects were flying and crashing against walls. And Robert, Eugene, would blame it on the doll. Robert actually named the doll after himself. So I will refer to Robert Eugene as Eugene and Robert as Chucky.
Okay.
Eugene became best friends with the doll. And he was also a well-known painter at his time of adulthood. He always painted with the doll, oddly enough. Even when he was an adult, him and the doll were still best friends, and they were by each other's side.
That's too bizarre.
The witchcraft doll.
When Eugene got married, Robert was unfortunately sent to the attic because his wife was so scared of him.
Yeah.
Eugene quickly suggested that the doll be moved to the guest bedroom.
She should have been more scared of the adult that plays with a doll.
Good point.
You never know.
Good point.
Well,
What else do you do with this
Robert,
doll,
while
Eugene?
Robert's in the guest bedroom, he stares out the window at the little children passing by on their way to school. After Eugene died, Robert was passed down to the next homeowners. The next homeowners had a 10-year-old daughter that played with the doll, and they built a bond just like Robert and Eugene had. And the daughter claims that Robert tried to kill her and lock the door so that her parents could not help her out. Robert is currently on display in a museum in Key West, Florida.
No way.
Florida of all places.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've
Have
seen
you
it.
really?
I have seen it.
That's awesome.
I have seen it.
And the tale goes that you must ask Robert for a picture. And if you don't, the consequences could cost you your life.
That's crazy.
I've seen it.
You seen it?
Yeah.
You've seen Robert the doll?
Yeah. When we went to Key West, we did a ghost tour and all that.
Oh, so it's all in that.
Yeah, it's all in that. And it's pretty cool. The history of
Did
Key
you get a
West-
picture?
No. No,
Wise choice.
I didn't even
Yeah, I
want a
wouldn't
picture taken with
Hell
me,
no, me
or
neither.
taken back with me of that. But
I mean, I took a picture of Ted Bundy's Volkswagen.
I don't.
So
I don't.
I'm a weirdo.
I don't believe a lot of that stuff. But here's the cool thing about a ghost tour: is it gives a lot of history, a lot of true history while you're on the tour.
Yeah.
You can choose to believe whether it's haunted or not haunted. That's up to you. But it does give a lot of cool history. And yeah, if you ever go to Key West, definitely do the ghost tour.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But that's the backstory on Chucky.
Yeah. So Child's Play, that was some real
A possessed
crazy shit going on with a doll.
Yes.
It's insane, right?
That's insane. All right. One of the movies that I remember, even as I got a little older, that I watched, it made me unnerved and it scared me. It was just creepy. The cinematography, the special effects, the way they did things. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see The Ring, the movie The Ring.
I saw the first one. I didn't see any more after that.
I'm
Was there
gonna-
a two?
I think there is.
I didn't see it.
I'm going to straight up butcher these Japanese names. I'm going to go
course.
ahead and there's a.
I wouldn't even attempt it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump in there.
You're strong, bro.
The story came from Okiku, the spirit of the whale in Japan.
The spirit of the whale.
Spirit of the whale, like water whale, not whale in the water. Okay. It's a tragedy that dated back to the 16th century. There was a castle in Japan, the Himeji Castle. I hope I said that right. There was a samurai, and I'm really going to mess this one up.
Do it.
Tassan Oyama.
I think he nailed it.
I like it.
I think he nailed it.
He fell in love in an obsessive way with a servant, Okiku. He wanted to have her. Unfortunately, he was already married.
Kiku.
He wanted Okiku, but he was already married. He wanted her to be his mistress. She refused his advances, and it caused the samurai to lose his sanity. So he decided to set a trap for Okiku. He asked one of the noble servants to take 10 gold plates from the royal family. He hid one of them and threatened Okiku to accuse her of being a thief if she did not reciprocate his love. She had two options, either to be Oyama's bride or to be executed. Either way, she was going to be unhappy and doomed, so she decided to kill herself by throwing herself into the castle's well. Okay? This is a true story. After Okiku's death,
Cannonball.
after her death, her spirit returned to seek revenge in the morning hours, and the samurai would suffer from paranormal manifestations of the woman he once loved. She came out of the well and crawled onto Oyama, and her eyes were full of rage. And he constantly could hear Okiku from inside the well, counting the golden plates over and over and over again, making a tremendous fuss and throwing them against the wall. Her spirit was described as a sad woman with long, dark hair, which we all know in the movie.
Yep.
That's pretty much what's going on.
Covered her face.
Who wore a white funeral dress.
Yep.
That's how spirits in Japan of women. That's how their spirits are perceived, as women who cannot rest in peace because they suffered a lot when they were alive. They did not receive a proper funeral ceremony because they committed suicide. And so these spirits appeared 2 in the morning until dawn, and they would seek out the people that hurt them in life and would torment them until the day that they died. The well is also known as Okiku's well, and it can still be found outside of that castle, covered in iron bars to keep her spirit locked inside. So that was a real story that was behind the movie The Ring,
Which was
heavy.
terrifying.
That was a scary ass movie.
It was a scary movie.
Yeah, remember the part where they crawling backwards on the stairs?
Yes.
Remember that?
It's terrifying.
And then the chick's washing her hair, and then the hands go like out of the back of her head.
It was a terrifying. Anytime you deal with like ghost kids, it scares me.
Oh, when you put kids in scary movies, that's the worst thing ever. And I remember there used to be a haunted trail in town, and I was like, oh, it's whatever. It's a haunted trail. Woo, there's scary things. They had a little girl walking through the woods in a white dress, singing "Jesus Loves Me,"
It's terrifying.
and it scared the absolute shit out of me. I mean, I was
Terrifying.
like,
It's just spooky.
I was like, you know what? I can deal with a pig man I can deal with
Freddy Krueger.
Jason Voorhees kicking open the camper door in the middle of the woods. That little girl walking around singing "Jesus Loves Me" in the woods with her little white dress on, just sounding all sweet. And that whole set and that whole environment, it was not a good place for me to be. I did not enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all.
I don't really like haunted trails, and I don't do that.
No, I don't do any of that. I just now got to where I enjoy a scary movie, but
scary movies really don't scare me. They creep me out, but they really don't scare me because I know it's a movie. But if I'm there, like in a haunted house or something, I don't get it. I don't get being enjoyable. But whatever.
Yeah, some people love them.
Some people love it.
I mean,
I know people that love them.
I kind of like it. I kind of like to be scared.
Do you?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm okay with it being a little scared by a movie, but I don't want to be there in person.
There's haunted houses where you have to sign waivers.
Yeah,
I don't want to be touched. I can tell you that. If I go in one and somebody touches me, they're putting their life in their own hands.
Well, they're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, they do though. But I'm just saying. I'm like, all right.
I mean, you got to sign waivers.
I'm like, you got me. You scared me.
Yeah, but you know that going into those though.
Yeah.
If you're gonna sign a waiver, it's on you.
Yeah, there's some haunted house. I remember that. I think it's somewhere in Georgia. But it's an X-rated haunted house, and like you have to sign a waiver. And they let you know up front that it's going to be some really messed up stuff going on this thing. And I always kind of wanted to go to that a little bit, but again, I ain't going to be touched by somebody. I mean,
and if you sign a waiver, man,
I'm like, you better sign a waiver. I'm going to take a waiver for you to sign.
Yeah, but if you're signing the waiver saying it, you're going to sign the waiver saying it's okay for them to touch you. You know what I'm saying?
And it's super expensive too. I can't remember what the name of it was. I'm sure some people listening will probably know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we could talk about. There's so many more different movies that we can talk about. The last one that I want to talk about, and this is one that still to this day, I felt like, if I watch it, I'm going to go to hell for just watching it. But I watched it. Of course, I didn't watch it as a child, but I watched it. I was too young to watch it, and it was The Exorcist. And this came from a story.
There was some truth behind that as well.
Yeah. So there's an actual girl that this whole story, the movie was derived from. Her name was I'm probably going to say her last name wrong. Robbie Mannheim, The Exorcism of Robbie Mannheim. Mannheim. I'm going to go with Mannheim. I like that.
Let's go with that.
In 1949, there was a cottage City, Maryland. I can't even talk. There was a 14-year-old teenager named Robbie Mannheim. I'm going to go with that. Mannheim. It started.
I have no idea. I'm kidding.
His aunt taught him how to use a Ouija board. Okay. So
those damn things.
So it was the first game they were played. Weeks later, the aunt died of supposed natural causes after she had taught him. Robbie started playing along, communicating with his dead aunt with this Ouija board. So started with some strange noises early in the morning, banging on the walls. Objects were moving, scratches on the walls. The picture of Jesus Christ was twisted without explanation in one of Robbie's classmates' rooms. They said that Robbie's desk had slid down by itself until it hit some of his other classmates. So there's like all kinds of paranormal shit going on. Little by little, the dark energy began to affect Robbie directly. And then he showed it as a sullen behavior, the paranormal phenomenon that began to physically impact him. It gave him scratches on his chest from the inside of his body. So from the inside out, whatever's in him, scratching his chest, clawing him up. The Catholic priest was called in. He went to visit Robbie. It didn't take long for the evil force to manifest himself. Robbie's bed was shaken. His holy water bottle exploded, and the fire from the candles was out of control. And then Robbie spoke with an unrecognizable voice, and it said in Latin, "O priest of Christ, you know I'm the devil. Why do you bother me?"
And this child had never studied Latin.
This child never studied Latin. He didn't know anything about Latin. Right. If I'm the priest, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go now.
Yeah.
Y'all don't got to put nothing in my plate. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and go.
Y'all burn this shit to the ground.
Y'all tie this little son of a bitch to a bed and set this house on fire.
I am out.
So Robbie was taken to the hospital, and a Reverend Schultz performed an exorcism on him. Unfortunately, the Reverend was seriously injured, and the exorcism was canceled. Robbie's family noticed a sign on his chest, St. Louis, the place where the spiritual aunt died, and then they took Robbie there for help. Another priest was brought in to perform an exorcism in St. Louis. The demon inside of Robbie became very violent before religious images, cursing with a demonic voice in different languages, having sexually offensive behavior, spitting on their faces. It was not enough for the priest. After a long, complex, and dangerous exorcism, a new voice came from within inside of Robbie's body and said, "Satan, Satan, I am Michael. I command thee, Satan, and all the other evil spirits to leave this body in the name of Dominus immediately, now, 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 now." Robbie squirmed and squirmed until he finally found some peace. He looked at the priest and said, "He's gone." It seems like there's so much more that could be to that story, but that's where the story of The Exorcist came from. Was this? Don't play with Ouija boards, people.
No,
don't do it.
I'm buying one.
And
you bringing it over here?
You can't bring it to our house. You already know the rules.
No, can't do that.
But we are going to have a witch come to our house. So
not my house.
We're just teasing that one. Next episode we're going to do. Actually, going to sit down. Brittany and I are going to sit down with a Wiccan who wants to be referred to as Rabbit. And I was like, "Is Eminem coming to our house?" I'm nervous already. Vomit on my sweater.
You know what? You should
Mom's spaghetti.
You're bringing this into your house. You should be.
Well, we'll probably make her stay outside. Maybe. I don't know. But here's the deal. I'm not scared of her. She ain't got to be scared of me. And,
we'll
see what happens.
I don't know if I'm actually scared of it because, the teachings, I believe that I'm not afraid of it, but I'm still not going to let.
There's so many questions though. I mean, like we talked to the ghost hunter and we asked questions. We had questions answered with that. So I'm a little fascinated with the dark arts. I'm a little fascinated with those things. And I feel I'm comfortable enough to be able to have conversations with those people just to see, I have questions,
Yeah, I'm not scared of it.
Brittany's got questions. She's got better questions than me. So she's actually going to be helping me out on this one when we do this one. So,
interesting.
But scary movies, folks, they came from some. When you ever watching a scary movie, and you go, "This had to come from somewhere." It did.
It probably did. Research it.
Unfortunately, it did come from somewhere. Yeah, and like Andrew said, research it, and you see
even the Smurfs.
Yeah, the Smurfs. There's evil all around. And it's real evil, and you just kind of gotta watch out what's going on around you.
Stay
kind of crazy. So
don't believe everything everybody says.
Right.
Wind up in some
cave
tent drinking Kool-Aid,
or in a cave getting your leg chewed on by a bunch of inbreeders.
The beans. Unbelievable, man.
It's so crazy. It's crazy. Tyler, you got anything else, buddy?
That's it, man.
All right, good deal. Andrew,
still working on some things, man. Hopefully some good stuff coming.
All right, it's coming soon.
I am going to get a Ouija board. I'm serious about that.
Okay, well, you just keep that outside for your viewing pleasure. So
lay down on your truck bed and play that.
Keep
out
that
in the
shit
yard.
away from my my brand new fire pit.
We'll take it once at the campfire.
Yeah,
I feel like that'd be a great time.
It would be. Yeah. A couple of quick things. If you like murder mystery, if you like unsolved mysteries, a podcast. Mysterious Brews is a great podcast. Again, the Youngblood Life is
got a long car ride with the family.
Yeah, the Youngblood Life is they have a great podcast. Day-to-day things with their family, and how they get it done, how they do things. So it's a good podcast as well. Again, go to www.cigarstoreidiot.com. Check out some of our merchandise. Christmas is coming. There may be some deals. Not yet, but it may be. So just take a look at some of those things. And also, one other thing, that Bespoke Post boxes, man, these guys have some of the coolest stuff. If you go to look at our Instagram and check out some of the stuff that we've got from those guys, if you've got a male in your life that's hard to buy for, that has everything, I guarantee you, Bespoke Post. They have some things that it's just some really cool stuff, some really, really nice gear.
It's stuff you didn't know you
Yeah,
wanted.
stuff you didn't know you
until
wanted.
it's on your doorstep.
Right. So go check them out as well. And I guess that's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks for coming. And everybody have a good evening.
Thank you.